me.
I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I'm at Reagan National Airport. I am joined by United States Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, United States Senator Jim Moran, Senator Roger Marshall, Jack Potter, the CEO of the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority. We are here to brief you on the very tragic events of this evening, where we know a passenger plane coming to the airport here collided with a military helicopter. Our fire department, DC Fire and EMS, supported by fire departments and police departments from across the Washington metropolitan region, are executing a rescue operation in the Potomac River. They are working diligently in very dark and cold conditions, cold water, to execute this rescue operation. We have had the opportunity to be briefed by American Airlines officials. I'm told that American Airlines leadership is on the way to Washington as well. And officials are in the airport talking to families now. We do have a 1-800 number where families should contact us, should contact American Airlines for more information, and we will be providing that information shortly. I am going to turn to a number of officials to provide as much information as we can this evening, and we expect to have more frequent briefings at daylight. So with that, I'm going to turn to Secretary Duffy.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. I think for all of us, we want to extend our thoughts and prayers to those individuals who were impacted by the events tonight, their families. We know this is a very difficult time for all of them. I want to join the mayor and everyone here to extending our thank you to the first responders who, again, in very difficult situations and environments, are out there searching and attempting a rescue. Tonight, I spoke with President Trump and his team in the Situation Room. I had a conversation with Secretary Pete Hegseth as well, and then with the Kansas delegation and the mayor and others in leadership, as well as Governor Youngkin from Virginia and Governor Kelly from Kansas. From the Department of Transportation and FAA's perspective, we are going to offer full support to those on the ground, to the mayor, but also to the NTSB, who is going to be conducting the investigation in this matter. We are going to provide all the support that's necessary. Mayor.
Thank you. So with that, I want to ask Chief John Johnley from DC Fire and EMS to provide an update.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Donnelly, Chief of DC Fire and EMS. This evening at 8:48, an alert was sounded, initiating a large regional response to a report of an aircraft crash on approach to the airport. This response includes first the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority's Fire Department, the District of Columbia Fire Department, the Metropolitan Police Department, and the U.S. Park Police to respond into the area and to sort that out. At 8:58, the first units arrived on the scene and found an aircraft in the water and began rescue operations. This incident has grown. There's currently about 300 responders working. We have boats from all throughout the region, police and fire boats, We have a mutual aid agreement in Washington, D.C., the National Capital Region Mutual Aid Agreement administered by the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, and we're all operating under that. We're operating under a unified command. Everybody's together. So we also have requested state police helicopters from Maryland, and the Coast Guard helicopter is working. So this is a state and federal response as well. U.S. Coast Guard's got some boats in the water as well. So it's a highly complex operation. The conditions out there are extremely rough for the responders. It's cold. They're dealing with relatively windy conditions. The wind is hard out on the river. So they're out there working. We're doing everything we can to keep them safe. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to the mayor.
Thank you. In Chief Bonnet from MWA.
I'm Rick Bonnet, Fire Chief of MWA Fire and Rescue. Our unit, as Chief Donnelly already alluded to, at 2048, we received an alert from the FAA tower of an aircraft incident involving a commercial aircraft and a helicopter. Our units immediately responded and deployed 3 boats and immediately called for mutual aid resources. Again, as Chief Donnelly said, this is an active operation that's going to last many hours as we continue to work through recovery efforts and rescue operations. This will be ongoing for quite a while. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families and our communities, and we appreciate all DC's support to our agency and our federal partners.
So with that, I wanted to turn to the senators who are from Kansas who wanted to say a few words. First, Senator Moran, and then Senator Marshall.
Mayor, thank you, and Mr. Secretary, thank you, and to our first responders, thank you very much for all that's taking place here. I'm Jerry Moran. I'm a United States Senator from Kansas, and I chair the subcommittee in Commerce Committee on Aviation. So we have really a serious and sad circumstance that we want to be here to be helpful, and we're praying that our responders are safe and the folks who are on that flight are recovered. The circumstance I would describe is that I know that flight. I've flown it many times myself. I lobbied American Airlines to begin having a direct nonstop flight service to DCA. That flight has been in existence about a year. And it is certainly true that in Kansas and in Wichita in particular, we're going to know people who are on this flight, know their family members, know somebody. So this is a very personal circumstance as well as an official response. And again, we will do everything we can to make certain that we're supportive of the rescue efforts, and we'll do everything we can to make certain that our subcommittee and Congress is engaged in what needs to take place following the outcome of this evening and this month's kind of investigation. I've talked to NTSB, I've talked to the White House, I've talked to the Department of Defense, and I've talked to the CEO of American Airlines, and there is all of us pulling together for the best outcome possible. I'm honored to be here with my colleague, Senator Marshall, as we try to make certain that we care for those certainly back in Kansas that were on that flight. But it's a reminder that there are people here in Washington, D.C., and this region, in Virginia and Maryland, and many places else that fly to and from Kansas. And so we're rooting and supporting all those, regardless of where you're from. And Mayor, I appreciate the gathering here for us to try to provide information to those in Kansas and across your city. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you, Senator Moran and Mayor, Secretary. You know, when one person dies, it's a tragedy, but when many, many, many people die, it's an unbearable sorrow. It's a heartbreak beyond measure. And I know Senator Moran and I are here just to say we care. We wish that there was more we could do, but unfortunately there doesn't seem much at this time. I want the folks back home to just know that we care, that we love them, and that this is a time when we'll have to join arms together. and help each other out. We've been through things like this before, through tornadoes and floods and things, but it's really hard when you lose, probably over 60 Kansans simultaneously. And I don't want to forget the pilots and the flight attendants, are doing, do their job, and the military personnel we lost. All those lives are so valuable, and it is such a tragedy that we lost them. I think often in times like this, I try to find a scripture that, is apropos. And this is from the book of Psalms. It says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Certainly we're crushed in spirit tonight. We mourn with the families who lost loved ones, and we truly are joining them in prayer and wrapping our arms around them in love and compassion. Thanks for everybody for coming out tonight, and thank you for your thoughts and your prayers.
So certainly I speak for the people of Washington, 700,000 of us who are extremely sorry for the families who are experiencing loss tonight. And so we want you to know that we will continue to work with American Airlines to share information as frequently as possible and make sure that we're getting accurate information out to the public. But my sorrow for all of the people and crew on the plane and our military personnel on the helicopter is very deep. I do want to turn to Jack Potter, who is the CEO of our Airports Authority, responsible for Reagan National Airport and Dulles International Airport, to talk to you about how the airport responded and what's going to happen next.
Good evening. As was said, I'm Jack Potter, President and CEO of the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority. Thank you all for being here tonight and under these very, very grim circumstances. First of all, I want to let you know that we're providing support to all the families who are involved. American Airlines has established a phone number for them to reach out. It's been published, but let me repeat it. It's 1-800-98215. So families of folks that were on the plane are asked to contact them. We did have folks who were at the airport to pick up loved ones, and so American has set up a center in their in their lounge at the north end of the airport, and we've directed the families there, and there are folks there counselors there to work with the families. We did have aircraft that were in the air. They were diverted to Dulles Airport, some 19 aircraft. We had personnel, United and others had personnel. We want to thank WMATA for extending their hours on the Metro to make sure that those folks were accommodated. Right now, as was said earlier by the chief, we're in a rescue mode. We will continue in that rescue mode. I want to thank all of the mutual aid responders, all the counties, the district, folks from Maryland and Virginia. Everybody's on site doing the best they can, and numerous boats out in the water right now. NTSB is on site. I want to thank all of the folks behind me, the secretary, the mayor, the two senators for all of their support, and we're going to continue to work through the night. I do want to make an announcement. People are, concerned about what's going to happen in the morning. Reagan National Airport will be closed until 11 o'clock. That's when the first flights will take off. But we're going to continue to do our best and work through this situation over the course of the night, and we hope to have more news as it develops. But for right now, it's a very difficult situation out there with the cold. It's very dark, but there are numerous boats out there. There are dive teams out there. So, again, we'll continue to work this situation, and I'll turn it back to the mayor. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that update. And you've heard that In the National Capital Region, the district, of course, is Washington, D.C. is at the center, but we are a close region. We have heard from the governors of Maryland and Virginia, the mayor of the city of Baltimore, all who have sent us personnel to help in the rescue operations. Last thing I'll note is just to our local viewership, and just please let our first responders do their work. Try to let our vehicles get to scenes and through scenes. We don't want anybody else to get hurt because of moving vehicles, okay? So we will be able to take a few questions. There's not a lot that we can say. We won't be able to say anything about an investigation. As you know, once Fire and EMS completes the rescue operation, then the investigation goes over to the National Transportation Safety Board. And I'm sure the Safety Board, NTSB, will provide information about when they will be briefing about an investigation. So we'll take a few. Yes?
Can you confirm that both aircraft are in the water, and perhaps Chief Donnelly can explain what's involved in conducting an operation like this in these conditions?
Yes, both aircraft are in the water. The focus now is rescuing people, and that's what all of our personnel are focused on. And Chief, I think he's given a pretty good description, but if there's anything else you want to add, Chief?
I would just say that the boats are out doing searches. We have divers on both aircraft, and they're searching the aircraft at this point.
Right. Yes.
Have any survivors been found, and how many bodies have been recovered?
All we can confirm tonight is the number of people on each aircraft, 64 people on the American Airlines plane and 3 people on the military helicopter. And we can't provide any more information about recovery efforts.
Two people have talked about lost loved ones. So how do you know that there might be people who have lost loved ones?
I didn't say I didn't know people have lost loved ones. I said we can't talk about any of the recovery efforts in specific tonight. Yes.
Secretary Duffy,
So hold on. So I'll call on who's next. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. Will this affect operations at Dulles and BWI? Will the Potomac River traffic be closed to boats?
Yes. And so Jack has talked about, Jack, can you talk about Dulles? I'm not sure we can talk about BWI, but we can talk about Dulles.
There is no impact at BWI or at Dulles. As I said earlier, our airport here, Ronald Reagan National Airport, will be closed until 11 o'clock. Obviously, that will be fluid. We'll learn more, but we wanted to advise passengers who might be coming to the airport in the morning that we will be closed until at least 11 o'clock.
Yeah, 1 second. You're next.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
So, just other than the current situations, like we know the water is extremely cold and it's very dark outside. Although Senator is saying that there are numerous boats in the water, but what's the the biggest challenges for the rescue team? What best scenario we can expect in the coming few hours?
Chief.
So the challenges are access. The water that we're operating in is about 8 feet deep. There is wind. There is pieces of ice out there. So it's just dangerous and hard to work in. And because there's not a lot of lights, you're out there searching every square inch of space to see if you can find anybody. Divers are doing the same thing in the water. The water is dark. It is murky. And that is a very tough condition for them to dive in. The question about the river, we'll make that decision later. The Coast Guard's on scene, and I would expect that it's not a high use time in the river, and we should not expect to have recreational traffic on the river tomorrow.
Okay, 3 questions. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Secretary Duffy, have you been in touch with the air traffic controllers who were in the tower at the time of the crash?
I have not.
You have not. And second question, this is your first several hours in this position. What are your thoughts? What are you feeling right now?
My focus is on those who are impacted on this flight. And again, I've been the secretary for a little over a day, and the tragedy that we're going to deal with this recovery, I think is touching everyone's hearts, whether it's here in the greater D.C. area or in Kansas. And again, I think everyone here is thinking and praying for those who potentially have lost a loved one. And thank you.
Okay, your question?
Can any of you give us any sense about how an accident like this could have happened so close to the airport, right in the heart of DC? There have been reports that the DCA tower contacted the helicopter moments before the crash to ask if they had sight of the aircraft, and apparently the helicopter reported that it did have sight of an aircraft. Is it possible that it had the wrong aircraft in sight? Do you have any sense of what went wrong in those final moments?
I know that the National Transportation Safety Board in its investigation will be able to search on all of those questions. We wouldn't be able to talk about that tonight. Yes.
Two parts for Secretary Duffy. The first being, you were talking about you were in the situation room with the president and Pete Hegseth both being there. Can you tell us more about the president's initial reaction to this, as well as Pete Hegseth, given this was a military helicopter?
So I was not in the Situation Room. I did have a conversation with the Situation Room where the president was located, as well as with Secretary Hegseth. We were exchanging information. I would just note that not just the local team, but the federal team has performed very well in this crisis. I know the president is incredibly concerned about what's happened here today. I'm sure we'll continue to hear more from him, and I'll continue to consult with him and Secretary Hegseth.
When it comes to the resources that you would be able to provide on the federal level, do you feel like you're getting what you need?
Absolutely. The president has committed to this team and to the NTSB through the DOT that we will provide all resources necessary as we go through this recovery, but also the support from FAA and DOT as the NTSB investigates.
Secretary, do we know the condition of these aircraft? Are they whole? Are they split? Are they pieces?
Again, I don't think we can comment on that. Our focus is on getting the passengers and crew out of the water.
And just one more clarification, because earlier we got guidance that DCA was going to be shut down at least until Friday at 5 a.m. I just heard
11 a.m.
11 a.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow. Okay.
Yes. Okay. We can take a few more questions. A question here, and here. Yep.
Mayor Bowser, can you just confirm, has anybody been transported to the hospital?
Again, I can't say anything about the rescue operation right now. Who was next? Yes.
Yeah, Chief Donnelly, can you speak a little bit more about the unified command? Who leads this phase of the rescue and recovery? At what point do you then change phases? And can you describe to us the scene as best you can when first responders first arrive?
So I happened to be listening to the radio this evening when the call came out. I listened to the responders come in, and the initial response, they were very professional trying to locate this. This is, if you can imagine, the river is a large black spot at night with no lights on it except for a few buoy lights. So they were out there looking. The boats pretty quickly were able to locate one of the aircraft and get there. So that's what's going on right now. Everybody's working on that. We will reevaluate where we are with the rescue operation in the morning when we get a better sense of it, but we are still out there working, and we're going to continue that throughout the night.
Do you have a sense that there are survivors?
We don't know yet, but we're working.
Is any part of the search happening over land?
No, we're all in the water.
Yes. Oh, you got a question. Somebody didn't get a question. Hold on. Yes.
I just wanted to ask, do you have an estimate yet on how long the recovery efforts will take?
Chief.
So experiences like this we expect to continue our operations in the fire department for multiple days. And then I would expect the investigation goes longer than that.
Okay, you didn't get a question, and you are next, I think.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is, do we have any plan to prevent future crash or future accident? Do we have any like to reform the airport control to calm those people who are flying in the next few days? And also, how long the rescue is going to last? Are we going to stop rescue after tomorrow 11 a.m.? Like divers team, because they are still in the golden hours now.
No. I mean, I think you just heard the chief said we're going to be out there as long as it takes. And we're obviously trying to get to people as soon as possible, but we are going to recover our fellow citizens. Yes.
This is for the chief and Secretary Duffy. How do you balance the search and rescue operation with preserving the scene for the investigation that's now underway?
So from the fire department's point of view, we are always going to put people first. But I don't think that I think our operations, because we have a unified command, we are all working together, and the NTSB is in contact with us, and we will work together to make sure that if there's crucial evidence that it's preserved. And that's something we do every day with our police department on crime scenes and things. So life comes first, and everything else is after that.
Okay, last question. Yep.
Secretary Duffy, I just want to ask, I know it's early, but are there any immediate actions the FAA should take to prevent helicopters and commercial airplanes getting too close to one another?
So obviously there'll be a review of what happened here tonight. And after the FAA studies what happened, we will take appropriate action if necessary to modify flight paths and permissions.
Okay. You have one? You have one?
Do you have any more details about the helicopter issues with the Black Hawk, and you're allowed to have people directly with the president?
I spoke with the president's national security advisor, and I have not talked to the president yet, and I do not know what the mission was. So let me close by saying again, thank you to the members of the press to help us get information out to the families. The American Airlines number is 800-679-8215. 800-679-8215. And I expect the airport will likely provide additional information in the morning. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.